Because dance is a means of communication. The social aspect is the communication. When you think of dance, most people think of dance in terms of studio. When you think of dance class. But what is a dance class? It's a social interaction to music. You're learning how to interact with the music amongst people. But dance is that interaction naturally. So the social aspect of it is the communicative or the community part of it. The root of community is commune. Commune means group of people living. So culture is spread through the community via music and dance and art. And music is nonverbal communication. Dance is nonverbal communication. That's the social aspect. The social part of this is our communication as human beings. There's some aspect of dance that's used for physical fitness, but dance culturally, especially for people of color, as they say, it's always been from a social standpoint. Well, that's the point, and that's the impetus of the culture. The culture in of itself feels good. You feel good in the movement because the music feels good. And the music and the movement get everyone moving together, which feels great. And now you're moving as one organism, not separate. The illusion of separation is temporarily suspended.
What is foundation?
The foundation is application of the music, not through the mental, through here. The foundation means what you're going to build on. You got to build on the core. The core is the feeling of the music. And the feeling does not come from here. It comes from here. So it has to go in here, skip this, come here, go all the way down like that, and then come back up here and go, ah. It's like breathing. You have to think to breathe. That's why breathing is automatic. You want dance to be automatic. In order for that to happen, it has to be an automatic process. It can't go through the front of your brain. It has to go through the back of your brain, where everything is already situated. What are you really looking at? The problem is people are basing things based again on movement, not what the quality of movement is. You know, something simple can be super complex, and something super complex can be really simple. I could go through all kinds of complex movement. What does it mean? It means nothing if you don't feel it. You're not going to remember the complex movement. You're going to remember what makes you feel the best. And that's the focal point. That's why you use the basics, because you build on the basics. Okay, you build on the basics to create something more complex. Truth be told, I don't look to the future. I live for now, because I don't have any expectations of where it's going to go. For me, it's the journey, not the destination, is important. So I don't really want to know where it's going to go. I want to ride it out and see where it takes me, because I never thought that it would do what it's doing now. Here's the thing, and I've said this multiple times. You don't get to choose when you come into this plane. You don't get to choose when you leave. So why do you think you have a choice in what happens in between? You don't. You're supposed to learn from point A to point B. Accumulate as much information and understanding as you can during point A all the way until you get to point B. And then point B is the next level up, where you'll be back from B to C and C to D and on and on. You're supposed to learn to level up. It's a spiral. There's no control here. It's like trying to control a hurricane. You can't. You can't control a tornado. It spins and it picks up stuff and it throws it. And, after it's gone, you have to look and be like, wow, okay, I'm still here. What did I learn from this? I'm a Buddhist. I've been a Buddhist now for 38 years. And Buddhism teaches you that none of this stuff exists. It's all in your mind. And that there is no separation. So you should learn from everything that you do. Everyone you come in contact with, everything that you experience is a learning moment. Enlightenment is not a moment. It's a series of moments that keep happening. You should always be looking to be enlightened. This is not what I think it is. There's more to it than what I see. Therefore, I pay attention to what I don't see and try to investigate what I don't see so that I get a clearer picture when I do see. My dad was a Buddhist. He actually was reading about Hinduism first, and then got introduced into Buddhism and started studying and practice. And he felt immediately that this was the way to go, and that he knew that I needed to learn this. This should be the focal point for me to understand. Especially since as a kid I had all these weird questions for him that he couldn't answer. So he introduced me to Buddhism. Also because as a kid, my father had a very bad temper. My mother had a very bad temper. They were quick to fight. I inherited both of their tempers. So as a kid, I was in multiple fights all the time. He made me angry, he fought. This was another way, a means for him, for me to channel that energy. No, he didn't. At first, he didn't support my dance at all. He literally told me dance wouldn't take me anywhere. And then it took me everywhere. And then he became my second biggest supporter after my mom.
Wow.
When I got my first job, it was a nightclub called Union Square. Union Square is the park in this whole area. The nightclub was literally here in Union Square on 17th Street. The club was originally called the Underground because you went downstairs, it was a bar. And the promotion for that particular night at the club was called Union Square. This is the first job that I got dancing. I used to pay to get in this club every week. I had a regular day job, and I would go every Friday, like, let's go to the club. So when they hired me to dance in the club, I thought, you're gonna pay me to do what I've been paying you to do? Like, this is amazing. I could get paid for this. And that's when I kind of thought, oh wow, okay. If I could get paid for this, this could be fun. I could have fun and get paid. And that job grew into everything else. So every time I got to do something new, dancing, I kept thinking, well damn, I'm getting paid to do this now? Like, this is fun. And then, I get to go on tour, and I get to travel here, and I get to, I can do choreography, I can teach people what I do, and make them do what I do, and get a group of people together doing all the same things, Like, it was a, snowball effect. Like, I'm rolling down the hill, and I got this little snowball, and it becomes this big mountain, and I'm just on the snowball rolling, like, this is incredible. And here we are 38 years later, and I'm still in the snowball. I didn't think about it in any way, shape, or form. I never gave thought to, I need a plan. I'm going to do this to do that. That was never the case. I never thought I was going to get hired in the first place at the club. I wasn't even 20, I was 18. I went on my first tour at 19. At first, years ago, particularly in Japan, the dancers could do any complex movement, but simple movements that based on feeling they couldn't do. But now the beauty of it is Japan has had the culture the longest outside of, say, the first places that the culture spread to was the UK and Japan. And Japan built an entire infrastructure of their own based on the culture. So now you have literal generations that have grown up in street dance and hip hop culture. So it's no longer a foreign culture. It's a part of Japanese culture. Because you've been taught the dance is the movement, and it's not. The movement doesn't come from here. It comes from here. And you've got to get this moving first. And remember these. You've got to move your hips and your core. The part of hip hop is the core and the hips. So once you get that, everything else will fall into place. It took years of even us here to understand, okay, we got to teach them how to dance.
Yeah.
Then they'll understand the movement. And that's what changed everything. You're at the beginning. The beginning is where nothing makes sense. Your focus should be on the one thing that will always make sense, the music. Once you focus on the music, everything else ties into that. That is the glue that brings the culture together. So if your emphasis is on the music and the focus on the music, you will learn everything else because the dance is the other aspect of the music. The dance is what explains how the music feels. So you start with the music. Most times, most dancers want to start with movement. Movement is meaningless without the music. The music moves you. You don't move to the music. Always understand that there are new experiences. Okay, I've been dancing 41 years, and yet there's still new things for me to learn. Am I experienced? Yeah, I'm kind of seasoned, but I don't know everything. I'll never know everything. And as long as I understand that, then there's something new to experience. There's a new perspective that will enlighten me. Yes, it's the journey, not the destination. Individuality in hip hop and street dance is celebrated, not suppressed. You want people to be individual. You want someone to have a unique perspective because everybody learns from that. That is what makes the organism grow. Okay, let's use a scientific method. In science, we're made up of cells. Your entire body is made up of billions of cells, each moving in unison. Some cells do this, some cells do that, and they all play off of each other. But those cells all make up one living organism. That's what this is. We are all cells of one larger organism. When we move together, that organism grows. Okay, back to science. Nothing is still. Everything is moving. The universe is moving. You're on a molten sphere that's moving through nothingness, rotating on an axis between this rock that we're on, a smaller rock, and those two rotating things are rotating around a giant helium and hydrogen gas ball that's exploding constantly, and that's rotating around a galaxy, which is rotating around another galaxy, which is rotating around a gigantic black hole, and so on and so forth. So nothing is still. Everything is moving. The problem is we as human beings move opposite of everything else. Like I said, the rock, they're moving, the sun is moving this way. We think we can move that way because of the illusion of separation. But when we move in unison, in harmony with everything else, we grow. When we move against, we digress. Well, again, we're indoctrinated not to think in those terms. You're taught to learn enough to get a job, to get enough money to pay your bills and pay your taxes, and then retire for a couple of years and then die. That's it. You're not taught to actually think or to look beyond what's in front of you or to look beyond your senses. Well, thank you. It changed all of our lives. It's one thing. Yeah. We call it the Dharma. In Buddhism, what you're learning is the Dharma. And the Dharma is the teachings. But you have to understand that the Dharma is not separate from your life. Life is the Dharma. You're learning while you're living. And that never stops. That's the thing. We're looking at an end to everything. There is no end. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transformed. So there's no beginning, and there's no ending. It's just this. And that is two spirals going like that. That's it. You're recirculating the energy, and it's growing. So it starts off really small, and it's growing. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Thus, the Big Bang and our universe is expanding. That expansion is our expansion of information and transformation of energy.
Spiral growth.
Oh, yeah, have faith. Oh, you have to have faith. How did we get here? The very act of being here and being able to receive information and apply it the way you want to, that in of itself is a miracle. Animals don't get to do that. We are the only one that thinks, oh, we can do anything. We don't know what our purpose is. And that's the problem. Our purpose is to learn. We want to control everything. Meanwhile, ants come and go and keep it going. Bees come and go and keep it going. Thing starts all over. The cycle renews. We're the only ones that are afraid of those things. The illusion of separation. We feel like we're somehow separate from this, not understanding that we are a part of said process. How can you control something that you are part of and you don't understand you're part in it? Maybe if we took the time to understand our part in it, we'd have some say in which way the spiral goes. You want to control nature, not understanding that you are nature.